Good evening. I'm going to call the meeting of the Coventry Redevelopment Agency to order. Clerk, please take attendance.
Member Pillar?
Present.
Member Brennan?
Present.
Chairman Larson?
Present. Vice Chairman Schuler is excused.
Excused. Thank you.
Emergency evacuation plan for those in the audience. There are two exits at the back of the room, left and right. Left one goes out to the parking lot. The right one goes out to the main entrance. Entertain a motion to accept the meeting minutes from June 25th.
I'll make the motion. Second the motion.
Discussion. Clerk, take the roll.
Member Pillar?
Accepted.
Member Brennan?
Yes.
Chairman Larson?
Yes.
3 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. Motion passes.
For public comment on docketed items, and this is docketed items only, we're going to stick to the 4-minute time limit this evening. We have a lot of exciting information that we're going to be able to go over. The update on our town website, which has been up and running, and we've received substantial input from town members on that one. We're going to go over the workshop that's up and coming in August, and using the input from the website. The GZA team is going to go over a very informational evening there on the 21st. And we're going to talk about the study area, which has been a lot of hard work. So some of the pieces of all the puzzles that we've been seeing and talking about for the last few months are really coming together this evening. So it's imperative that we stick to that 4 minutes so we can make sure that we go through all the items on our agenda. With that being said, is there anybody in the audience that has public comment for this evening? Jackson, is there anybody online that has public comment? No public comment. Good. Okay, we'll go right into old business. Sarah, or Kevin, can you give us an update on our town website on the GZA portion of this?
Yes, I wanted to make a few quick comments and then have to pivot to Sarah. So as it relates to the website, and we have gotten a lot of great comments. The one thing I want to note, it's clear a lot of folks have a lot of input and they want to get involved and they want to have answers. The one thing I want to note is there's 2 steps to this process. One is defining the study area, and that has its own specific approval by town council. And that then basically goes to the state and codifies the redevelopment area. Then there's a redevelopment plan. So folks that are looking to have discussions about, planning, programming, what goes where and how and what the issues are, all of that is coming. We're trying to define the study area collaboratively with both the redevelopment agency as well as the community to make sure we capture the study area that considers many of the types of factors that people have indicated in their comments. So I wanted to note that. And then Sarah, I'll hand it off to you to go over where we're at with the website, what's been updated, and where we're at with the map.
Sure. Thank you. So just to get started, the website, we have had 85 people sign up so far. Which is a great number, but we really do encourage you to continue to sign up, share with your family, friends. We'd love to have more comments, love to have more people sign up because we will be sending an invitation to the public workshop through our website. We've also had over 1,500 hits on the website, meaning 1,500 times, over 1,500 times people have visited the website, which is great. Hopefully you're getting information that you need, and more updates and information will be posted. So that's on the website. Harry, would you like us to go over the updates, or do you have anything before that?
I just want to make sure that any of the agency members have any comments, questions on the website.
I don't have a question on the website per se, but I have not seen anything as far as what some of the responses are. I'm going to get notification as to what they are.
So Sarah, that's a question. Will the agency be able to have visualization on the commentary that's on there?
Not direct visualization, but we can certainly send the agency the comments that we've received.
And this is actually an open question. We can post the Excel file. Which certainly we can post it online, or we can provide it to the redevelopment agency, directly. And then the question of whether or not you want us to be responding to the comments and post those responses, we can do any of those things, and I actually just got the full Excel list of the comments we've gotten to date. and kind of working through, and which is one of the reasons why I wanted to address this general idea that we're kind of in a process, and folks, hopefully folks can understand that, but we certainly can provide them.
Yeah, because it'd be nice to hear what people are actually saying.
Yeah.
Outside of Facebook and all this other kind of stuff, in which it's a little.
Yeah, they're actually really good. I mean, very
Absolutely.
constructive, open, thoughtful. So Harry, we will forward those to you, and you can distribute those, and then at your direction, we can post the Excel file to the website.
All right, thank you. And I think we can just set a time frame. I mean, obviously, we don't want you sending these out once a week or something, but maybe every couple of tests, whatever, we can discuss it, and then we'll come up with a time frame that we can regularly provide those and updates. So, thank you. Vinny, do you have a question?
No.
Great, strong work on that, Sarah. Really appreciate it. I think the town's really getting a benefit from this, and just for the agency members to know that the website is an evolving process. So more content is added as the work moves forward on that by the GZA team. So there's lots of information that keeps getting added to it. So if you have an opportunity to go on there and take a look at it, it'd be great.
And Harry, we do have a newsletter to give our status update. And again, I think maybe we provide this to you and then post it to the website. And we can do that after or before every CRA meeting.
Great, thanks, Kevin.
Okay.
And I have that available now if you'd like me to present that before going into the mapper.
Great. All right, without any other discussion, we can move on to new business. So Sarah, you can talk a little bit about the workshop on August 21st. That's at our Human Resource Building that we have here on Wood Street. So it's a good facility. It holds about 200 people. So we're looking forward, and we have it booked for 2 hours that evening. So using the input, obviously, that's coming in from the website, we'll build out that meeting. But if you want to talk a little bit about that, Sarah, that'd be great.
Sure. So I'm just going to share this progress update that we have prepared. And this includes also where we are, what we've done since our last meeting, and discussing the first public meeting. So we've launched, since June, we've launched the website, the dedicated project website. We've scheduled the first public meeting, and that's going to be to discuss the draft redevelopment area boundary. And we will also be discussing, any visioning with the community during that time. But I'd really like to emphasize that, we've begun interviews with town departments, we've mapped natural resources and conservation areas, and we've established this draft redevelopment area boundary or study area, which I'll present next. So as Kevin mentioned, that's where we are in the process. It's this first step of establishing the redevelopment area. We'll present this again at the public workshop on August 21st at the Senior Center between 6 and 8 p.m. After we have that public workshop, any input that we received, we will modify that redevelopment area boundary. And then we will conduct a public hearing to present that revised boundary before we finally adopt that. Town council will be adopting that. And this is all pursuant to Rhode Island general law. And then following that next steps, that's where we're going to continue public and stakeholder engagement to establish goals and a vision statement, identify potential future access points, recreational opportunities, supportive infrastructure, and other improvements to enhance the public benefit of the redevelopment area. We're going to discuss strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities and threats for each of these improvements with the community at another public workshop. Then we'll finalize those lists of improvements and start preparing the redevelopment plan. So just want to stress, we're still in that initial stage of the redevelopment area plan, and August 21st will be really showing the community that, testing it with the community, having everyone come with their thoughts, what they'd like to see, and we will discuss it with you then. As I mentioned, please sign up on the website. We will be sending out an invitation for the 21st meeting, and we will also be posting flyers as well. So also just one additional point that I'd like to make, we are going to update the website to include a link for the navigational charts for the pond. And these maps do not provide precise measurements, but are designed to be a general navigation aid. So we just wanted to stress that, and those will show depths, but they are not precise. They're not up to date or to the inch. They just reflect a general sense of depths and a very dynamic and fluctuating environment. So we will be updating the website in the next few days to include those. And I will now.
We have a
present-
question, we have a question from,
Sure.
I just had a comment, which was when we show a document, we can blow it up to 100%. I think it would help the public and those online a little bit.
the next section, yeah, the mapping, we will, the new map, yep. Yep. Anything else on the meeting, Sarah? On the
I
workshop?
don't believe so. Is there anything else?
Questions from the agency members? Again, this is great work. If you recall, folks, in the beginning, we had a workflow process that we were following on the steps that we'd be taking in the redevelopment plan. Obviously, we're a little bit behind what we had initially projected. But again, we feel we can get us back on track pretty quickly here now that we've built this out. A little more work involved than we anticipated. So we were a little optimistic with our timeframes, I would say, but I think we're in a good spot now. As we go on to the mapping project update, I just want to have a couple of comments on this. Right, so we're going to talk about the study area. Sarah mentioned about the navigational chart that we're using. That's new information that came about on a request from the website. Again, you got to remember this is a pond, right? So the water goes up and down, it rains, it doesn't go. So the navigation piece is not ever going to be 100% accurate as things occur in nature. The study area is a big work in progress, right? So there isn't just this magic map that shows everything. And if you think about this redevelopment project, all right, nothing has been undertaken like this in Rhode Island, right? This isn't like a blighted area or a mill that's being torn down or something. This is a giant natural resource that we're putting together a plan to benefit the residents of the town. And we want to make sure that we get it right. So there's been a lot of work involved in the study area. And the maps aren't exact. You know, we've been relying on the town planners, public works, there's paper streets, driftways, there's all kinds of things. And I can tell you honestly, it's going to end up us going out on a boat to examine some of these areas to really understand what we're seeing. And there's some that we're going to walk on foot to understand what's there. There's just not an exact science. So as we build this out, we're going to make sure that we do our best possible to make sure the accuracy of the information that we're presenting. So I kind of just want to have those comments as we begin. There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes, working with the GZA folks on a regular cadence to ensure that we're doing everything that possible to make sure that we provide the best plan moving forward. So Sarah or Kevin, you want to start with the mapping project update?
Absolutely. I can certainly.
If you have a map that you can show too, that's what Stephen was asking about too.
Yes, yes,
Thank you.
absolutely. Can you all see my screen?
Yep.
Great. So this is our draft study area. As we've said, I can zoom in closer. You know, this is the top portion, and basically we've followed the logical roadways as we've been mapping this. You know, we've been going through this process, and really it's become apparent what the clear boundaries are of this area. Now, again, this is very much in draft form. We are still working with the CRA on this. This will definitely go through the public process, and so we just want to reiterate, still very much in draft form. But again, this is what really seemed to make sense to us based on existing abutters, and just overall generally having this larger study area.
And I want to reinforce this notion. You can consider this a straw man. And the idea is we have to get something down for comment. It's a collaborative effort. And the idea is, considering the geography, potential impacts to residents, the availability of public land, the availability of state lands, existing trailheads, that may be mapped or not mapped, existing access points, as well as access geography in terms of north, south, center. Being able to map kind of an area where, when we start to talk of things about individual boat launches, and a lot of the questions are about concerns about traffic, and too many jet skis, too much vessel loading, in certain points. And that's the idea. We want to capture enough of an area that's most sensitive to the adjacent population, which are the key stakeholders, in the area. And if you see down at the south, there's a lot of that subdivided land that's a little bit larger. We didn't really want to cut that neighborhood We wanted to get to the bounding access roadways. You know, if we have to consider access through that point, it's sort of very circuitous. So the idea is maybe all areas are not equal in terms of their access, but we're trying to be sort of as inclusive and limiting as possible, given the information we have. And this is subject absolutely to community comment, input, and a collaborative effort to make sure we've established a good boundary. So when we get into the planning and we're discussing this brass tacks about, you know, what does the bathymetry afford in terms of access? How much public land is available? You know, how much might abutting private residents be disturbed? We'll be able to delve into all those things appropriately.
Well, that's awesome work. That's a great start. I really know in depth. I've learned more terminology about driftways, paper streets, all the things and the influxes that go into this. There are streets that the town maintains part of, not at the bottom. So it is a real effort on the part of the GZA team, and they've been great interacting with our town officials to try and get this with the best clarity that is available. So yeoman's job by them. So I really appreciate that. So I'll start with the agency members. Do you have any questions on this? Do you want them to drill down into anything you'd like to see better? I'll just kind of go down with Bob. He's at the end there.
No, I know there has been updates on the maps that are shown. Will this be put up there, or is this in draft and just?
No, Sarah, will this one be up there too now, moving forward?
On
Yes.
the website,
Yes.
it is not on the website currently, but we can certainly post it to the website at the direction of the CRA and council.
Okay, seeing that it's in draft form, you know, as long as that's clear, I think it would be helpful for people to see what's being looked at.
Yeah, we'll note that. And I think it's important for the community to have a look at this. And then also in combination with the letter that Sarah kind of went through, you know, and kind of what the thoughts were, you know, we can associate that with it. So it frames the understanding that this is in development, right? A draft that's subject to community input and finalization.
You know, truly, I think the key in this is a couple of words, right? Study area, right? Because what we're looking at, nothing's in concrete, right? So this is a study. This is giving us a starting place. It's a development, right? So it's going to continue to evolve its life throughout this process here till we get to a point where we're comfortable with it based on the input from the residents and actually going out there and really taking a look on it and seeing. So I think those are key words, Kevin, Sarah, on this, right? Study, draft, evolving document, whatever, so everybody's clear on that.
Oh, and I do want to note one aspect of this. You know, there's a possibility under state law that we do the area map and the plan all simultaneously and get it approved. And one of the things that we put in our proposal to the town is we think it best to kind of do this in two steps, primarily because and basically state law affords that, and that's generally considered the better way, is define the study area as broadly and necessarily as possible and get that approved so that you're not at the end of the finish line with this plan and community members or other stakeholders inside or outside of the town come back and say, well, why did you not include this area or that area? You know, so we want to be as fulsome as possible, and we want to establish and get this step, you know, completed, you know, and in a way that gets everybody on the same page about what we're looking at and that sort of thing. So I did want to impart that sort of practical notion of how we're bifurcating the ultimate redevelopment plan.
Do you have any questions?
Not at this time. And, you know, I agree with the methodology, with the casting the wide net as a study area to determine and drilling down deeper, but not at this time, no.
Good. Well, thank you. You know, GZA team truly appreciate this. I think this brings us a lot of clarity to this agency tonight with the work on the website. You know, the workshop coming together, the mapping coming together. So it's like a giant puzzle in my mind, and now all the pieces are starting to come together here. And I think it's really heading in a good direction. So I appreciate that. Kevin, Sarah, anything else for the agency tonight?
No, thank you for your time, Sarah.
On my end, thank you again.
And Harry, maybe we follow up next week. I'm actually going to be very, very close by the entire week. So if you or other members of the redevelopment agency wanted to do at least a preliminary tour around the area and like identify, more specific locations to get into detail. But I think, finding an opportunity to do that site tour, at least from Rosemary and I've already been out there on our own, but, to find an opportunity before we have our community meeting, for us to head out there and kind of identify unknowns or, just go over the map would be a great thing.
Okay, Kevin, and I'll get with the town folks too that indicated they wanted to participate, so thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, perfect.
On the issue of site visits, Mr. Chairman, and for the agency members, a site visit, individual members of the agency can certainly visit. But if a quorum of the agency were to visit, it must be posted as an open meeting. There are special rules that apply for site visits. I'll be happy to distribute that to you so that you have it. That is a legal position that I take on that so that we don't run afoul of the Open Meetings Act. In knowing that it is a public visit, there are times that certain site visits restrict public access, okay? Simply for safety reasons. So if you're going to visit areas that are for some reason, may cause some liability concerns with respect to the terrain and things of that nature, the agency should consider that in terms of what areas it does visit, because if there are members of the public who go along with the agency, which is if it is a public meeting, have a right to observe, okay? There are specific rules that apply. I just want to make the agency aware of that. Okay.
I'd say it'd be similar to when we had the ongoing work on the dam and we did a meeting up, correct. Thank you for your guidance. Experience on that one. Great. All right, GZA folks, thanks so much. I'll be in touch with you, Kevin.
You got it. Thank you so much. Take care.
We don't have public comment from the audience. We already went past public comment.
Thank you.
I believe at this point, probably the website's the most available venue for that commentary on there. Because they're going to get the report back. So I think that's the avenue we would choose to use. I think that's the process we were talking about, what the response process is going to be. So we'll take a look at that and determine the best way moving forward. You're welcome. Moving on, the next item of business is the agency annual meeting and election of officers. We have completed everything that was required for the agency's annual meeting. So that leaves us with the election of officers for our next year coming up. So that being said, I'd entertain a motion to elect a chairman.
I'm going to nominate you, Harry.
Afraid not. Thanks, Bob. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
I guess no further discussion. Clerk, can we take a roll on that?
Member Pillar,
Yes.
Member Brennan,
Yes.
Chairman Larson,
Yes.
3 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
Next would be the vice chairman.
I'd like to nominate Chris Schuler as vice chair.
I'll second it.
And Chris did indicate via an email to me that he'd be willing to remain in that role. So clerk, if you could take the roll on that one.
Member Pillar,
Yes.
Member Brennan,
Yes.
Chairman Larson.
Yes.
3 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
I don't believe we have any other business items that are carried over. We don't have any resolutions. We don't have an executive session. So the next thing would be a motion to adjourn.
Go for it.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
You can take the roll.
Member Pillar,
Yes.
Member Brennan,